with a brief 15-minute presentation.
Thanks, Ray. I'm Dr. Lee Aiken. I'm a local practicing oral surgeon. I also live in the village, and I am also the president of the local dental society, the Dental Society in St. Lawrence County. Community water fluoridation is something that affects me personally and professionally. And I know there are a lot of healthcare professionals in this room, village residents who feel the same way. So it is the Dental Society's position that community water fluoridation is the single greatest commitment that a community can make to the future oral health of its citizens. So it's something very important, and we've invited Dr. Johnny Johnson to come up from Florida, and he graciously accepted our invitation. We're very thankful that he is here this evening, and he has a presentation about community water fluoridation, about its safety and its effectiveness, and I hope that after his presentation, a lot of questions can be answered. So I'll turn the time over to Dr. Johnny Johnson. Thank you.
Should I stand in a different area? Or?
You need the lights off? The lights are right behind the door.
That's probably good.
Introduce myself. I'm Johnny Johnson, pediatric dentist, Florida, Pinellas County, St. Pete, Clearwater area. I practiced about 30 years in clinical practice, private practice. Practiced for 30 years in Pinellas County before I fell off my bicycle and had to have my wrist totally fused. So my clinical days in practice, I could no longer get my wrist and had to give it up. But my background is in public water fluoridation research. My master's work was at the University of North Carolina in infant formula, fluoridation, and fluoride. So extensive research on it. I want to thank you for having me to come up and speak on water fluoridation. And I will tell you that I have no financial gain whatsoever. I do this as my time in life to give back to the families that were most in need. I planned on doing charity work, but God gave me the talents and the time, and when I fell off my bicycle, my mouth stayed intact, so I wanted to come and speak about it. I'm a parent, a grandparent, pediatric dentist, and I drink fluoridated water, and so does my family. I would not do that or recommend it to anyone if it were harmful whatsoever. Water fluoridation is one of the top 10 greatest public health achievements of the 20th century. Right alongside of vaccinations, seatbelts, safer mothers and babies, reductions in infectious diseases, and there are 4 or 5 others that escape me right now. Water fluoridation is effective in stopping at least 25% of cavities. And I'll tell you as a clinician, it will stop up to 50% of cavities. Studies being done currently show that being borne out that they will stop up to 50% or more cavities. It is safe. There is not a single adverse health effect from fluoride in water at 0.7 parts per million. And in fact, the National Research Council looks at levels naturally occurring in fluoride. They have set that at 4 parts per million is the maximum that people can drink. That's 6 times what you have in the water. There's not a single health effect at 6 times what you have in the water. The only thing you'll see are brown stains, and I'll go over that in just a minute. That does not occur from the level of fluoride you have in your water. Background's different. We all have different backgrounds, pardon me, several times here. We all come from different backgrounds. Not all of us have a science background, some of us do. So as elected officials, it is not always easy to discern what's good science, bad science. I know you guys are inundated with a ton of email for fluoridation. I know for a fact it is everywhere. You don't hear from the silent majority. The silent majority knows that fluoridation works. 3 out of every 4 people on public water systems in the United States, 211 million people drink fluoridated water every single day. 3 out of every 4 people. The Council of State Governments put out a short 20-page decision-making, science-based booklet to be able to help you look at what is good science, what is questionable, and what is bad science. And then you can go through it. I read it, and I have ADHD, and I don't like to read, but I read it, and it's an easy read, and it's very concise, and as far as the science is concerned, to show you exactly where to go. I put a hyperlink at the bottom, and I'm going to have you send that to each one of you, so that you can have it. But you can get on the internet and find out anything you want, good, bad, or otherwise. Water fluoridation saves taxpayers huge sums of money. It's supported by leading health and medical organizations in the world. AAP, American Academy of Pediatrics, American Dental Association, CDC, Mayo Clinic, World Health Organization, just a few of them that support water fluoridation as safe and effective. Not a single credibly recognized organization, health or science, in the world opposes water fluoridation. Not one. Now, my county had a nice little thing go on in Ellis County. 4 public officials had a budget hearing, again, to discuss fluoridating agents, and they were on a mission to stop fluoridation to 700,000 people, and they voted 4-3 to stop fluoridation in my county back in 2011. And so for my background, and I was disabled from practicing, I took the lead on bringing this back around. Karen Seal, Commissioner Seal, was one of the ones that said us as public officials are the ones that have to make the decision for our constituents. Constituents may bring you information they got off the internet. We may look up things that we get off the internet, but we have to consider the source of what that internet information is. And we have a responsibility to make these decisions as decision makers. We were elected for this. You can't put it out to everyone that decides a referendum that's passed it by. 15 months later, we got it back. Unfortunately, there was some turnover in the county commission, but we got it back 15 months later. Take a step back for a second. Fluoride wasn't something that just began to be tried out. When in 1901, a dentist by the name of Frederick Buquet moved to Colorado Springs, he examined his patients. He'd never seen something like this brown stain. That's what's called severe fluorosis. It's a cosmetic color change in the tooth. He didn't know what it was. It wouldn't come off, but he didn't find through looking at it and taking histories. People who had fluoride, and there's some infants were moved in as a young child before the age of 8, had this. Adults did not get it. And he had almost no cavities in that area. 1901, almost no cavities, unheard of. He called back and his instructors hadn't heard of it. They sent out the Public Health Service to study it. The Public Health Service came out and found out the water contained fluoride at 2 to 12 parts per million. Yours is 0.7. At 2 to 12 parts per million, they got stains. The Public Health Service went around to many other cities testing it, and they found that in other areas there were very few cavities. This is before 1930s. Very few cavities and little white specks on the teeth. They knew that the amount that was in that water, very few cavities, which was 1 milligram per liter or 1 part per million. that they were onto something. It was a fluoride that was helping out people. Mother Nature had been doing it. Fluoride is the 13th most abundant mineral in the soil and Earth's crust. It's in our foods. We have it in the water at 0.7 parts per million, and outside it, another 25% of cavities just by drinking the water. Pretty ugly pictures. Cavities are the most common chronic disease of childhood and teenagers, and that is not just in the U.S., that's around the world. It's an infectious and transmissible disease, and it's many times more common than asthma, obesity, and diabetes. It is something that affects children's ability to go to school, to focus, to be able to stay in school. People going to work because they're in pain. They can't eat properly. They have weight difficulties. And it's one of the top 5 reasons almost always that a nurse will say, school nurse will say, that's why kids come in here, is 2 things. And it's one of the top 5 reasons to top 10 reasons for emergency room visits. I witnessed that firsthand. I had a hernia. First, the next room over was there for 2 days. Emergency room. The bottom folks, on the bottom right, Diamante Driver made national news in 2007. He died from an abscess tube. That is not uncommon. He died from an abscess tube. Truck driver in the middle, a year and a half ago, died from an abscess tube. Started having toothache, got a little work done on it, kept driving to New York, here in California. Turned around, going back, made it halfway across the country, had to go in the hospital before his brother got there. The infection here got into his brain, caused a brain abscess, he died. And lady on the left is just a few hours to a few days away from dying. That infection, right in here with the eyes closing, is from an abscess tube. I have 30 years seen these kids. They have to be sometimes admitted to the hospital, given IV antibiotics to be able to help them to get around that. Cavities don't happen evenly. They're not evenly distributed. The poor families have twice as much, or twice as likely to have cavities as those that are not poor. Almost 30% of your family are living in poverty, which I'm not telling you something you don't know. You walk down the street, 3 out of every 10 family members you see are living in poverty. Those are the ones that get the most cavities. But all of us get cavities. Cavities don't have boundaries. You're rich, poor, you have education of higher level or not. I can show you my mouth with all the crowns I've been spending up to $10,000 to have all my crowns replaced recently. I grew up without water fluoridation. I thank you for helping this. With water fluoridation in place, you absolutely stop 2/3 to 3/4 of children going to the hospital to receive dental treatment under general anesthesia. 3 studies across the United States, in UK and Israel show that 2/3 to 3/4 of these operating room cases can be avoided. They cost anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 plus general anesthesia. $10,000 to $15,000. Put somebody under general anesthesia. That's the way they look beforehand. That's a pitiful to have to give a child. You are stopping that by fluoridating water. Thank you. If you stop fluoridating the water, drive around the area where there's not fluoridation in the water. You will see pictures like the ones on the left. You'll see people like the ones on the left. It doesn't take long for this to begin in a community. 3 to 5 years, you begin to see cavities creep in. Again, I'm a dentist. I'm telling you to do something that's going to take away from my livelihood. That's okay. This is an infectious disease. Physicians get upset with smallpox when they're eradicated because they can no longer make money off the patients coming in. It's the same thing. You have on the right side what your families here have. Mild fluorosis is what's called a cosmetic change in the surface of the enamel. It doesn't hurt. You see anything wrong with those teeth on the right? No. Little tiny white spots in the bottom. Do these families get cavities? Surely, because they don't take care of themselves. They're much smaller and much less numbers of cavities. Water fluoridation is absolutely still necessary. You begin water fluoridation and you knock out 25% of the cavities at least, just by starting water fluoridation in the community. On the flip side, you stop water fluoridation and you will see rates return drastically within 3 to 5 years. A study, unfortunately, a natural study that's going on right now is Calgary, Alberta, Canada stopped fluoridating the water in 2011. Again, it was a political issue. Their cavity rates have skyrocketed 146% in just 3 years. That will happen here. Potsdam cannot afford that to happen. You just can't afford that to happen to your kids and adults. You may have heard that Europe is 97% fluoridation free. That's the key word, is fluoridation free. It's being said to make it sound like there's not fluoridated water. There is fluoridated water. There's 13 billion people in England, Ireland, and Spain that have it. But where there's infrastructure that's not good, not put together like Mexico, has the same thing. Places use fluoridated salt instead. So they fluoridate the salt at a very high concentration, and it does help improve cavities. Other areas have fluoride in the well water at levels which are appropriate to stop cavities. Some too high, but most of it around right. Fluoridated milk is used, fluoride rinses are used, and other targeted fluoride programs are used, but nothing is as cost effective or as gets the reach that water fluoridation does. You turn the faucet, you drink the water, everybody gets it. Simple as that. You may have heard the cavity rates are coming down worldwide regardless of water fluoridation or not. Well, that's true. That's true. The left slide here started in, this is the World Health Organization slide. You look at starting around 1980, maybe stay right there. The one on the right is a graph that was put together and published by anti-fluoridation scientists. You don't take data points. Any scientist knows that if you want to make something look pretty, you never get it published if it looked like that. You can't manipulate things. What else happened around 1983? Fluoridated toothpaste became available. Then it became widespread in use. So you did see cavities starting to come down everywhere. But when you use the same data from the World Health Organization, and you see this top red line is non-fluoridated areas, they use toothpaste with fluoride, they have fluoride in foods. Then you put a fluoridated system into place, you drop that cavity rate by another 25%. It is effective. Toothpaste and fluoridated water are both needed. It's like when airbags came out, we didn't stop wearing seatbelts. The Cochrane review found no evidence that water fluoridation works. And I'd be happy to talk to you all day about this because I'm at the Cochrane group in London in 2015. Very extensive meeting with a bunch of academicians. I'm low man on the totem pole, but I do the defending here in the United States to help keep it so we have the most fluoridation in the world. I was invited to the meeting. The Cochrane group absolutely found cavity reductions of 35% in the baby teeth and 26% in permanent teeth. The criteria they used was so extensive that out of 4,000 studies, they only found 20 that they could use to look at cavities. Not your typical one. Randomized controlled trials have never been done on water fluoridation. Only the same Cochrane group said you can't do it, it's not feasible. What has been done on water fluoridation to find cause and effect was we saw cavities reduced. We figured out that it was fluoride, and at the amount that was 1 milligram per liter, that was great. Same studies that were done that links smoking and lung disease, sexually transmitted diseases, and alcohol use. Nobody's calling for randomized controlled trials on smoking, sexually transmitted diseases, and chronic alcohol use. Y'all don't pay attention to this. The U.S. Community Preventive Services Task Force is a group that was appointed by Congress in 1996 to evaluate the literature on communities to help you give community guides to help give you directions on how to help your community keep it healthier. Again, I'm going to mention the same people, Cochrane Oral Health Group, won the award to look at their literature and see if it was valid. And they said, yes, we approve that your literature is valid for what you're looking at. This group, U.S. Community Prevention Services Task Force, recommended fluoridation based on strong evidence in reducing cavities across populations, lower the prevalence in communities, and also that no evidence that water fluoridation results in severe fluorosis, which is that brown side. This brown spot I showed you. What are the benefits of fluoridation? Everybody, all ages benefit from it. It's just one of multiple things. It's not a magic bullet. You still gotta have a diet looked at, brush the teeth and all, but if you don't do anything different, you're still going to prevent 25 to 50% of cavities. Mass medication has been challenged. We fortify our foods all the time in this country and around the world, but challenges by the anti-fluoride agents have gone to U.S. courts many, many times, and they have consistently rejected the argument that it's mass medication to any other claim every single time that there was a last resort. Fluoridation, like fluoridation, is all about prevention. I'm almost done. Numerous scientific panels and experts have reviewed and rejected the anti-fluoridation claims. The most recent one is the National Toxicology Program, which showed there were no IQ changes in the study animals that they looked at. The anti-fluoridation group wanted this study and pressed for it, and it went just the opposite of what they were hoping for. They hoped it would end fluoridation in the United States. EPA, National Research Council, all of these groups have looked at health issues and effectiveness, and it's always been positive. The last one is the Mexican study is being used as a way to scare pregnant mothers that they're drinking fluoridated water, and that fluoride is reducing their baby's IQ. Mexico uses fluoridated salt. They don't have fluoridated water. They had fluoride in their water supply there at the area they were studying. Naturally, because it's in the air, it's in the groundwater, up to twice as much as you have in your water here. So they could have been getting not only twice as much as what you have, but they didn't measure fluoride intake in the salt. That wasn't part of the protocol back when it was started years ago. So it is not apples to apples. One of the co-authors, Angelique Martinez-Meyer, said, I support water fluoridation. And she said, if I were pregnant today and in the fluoridated area, I would absolutely treat water with fluoridation. But if I were pregnant in Mexico,